and I am conducting an oral history interview with Mr. Ken Williams. Born on June 29, 1922, living in Morristown, New Jersey. My name is Lawrence Green from the local history department of the Morristown and Morris Township Public Library. Would you please state the wars and branch of service you served in, your rank, and where you served?
I served in the U.S. Navy as a pharmacist-mate second class, petty officer second class, medic they called us, and served from August 17th, 42 to January 12th, 1946. Anything else you need to know?
Well, I want to do a little introduction on your background
okay.
too.
Yeah.
Sort of just your
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
siblings, what your parents did.
Well,
where are they from?
well, my mother was from Florham Park, New Jersey, years ago. That was called a little town called Afton, which is now Florham Park, part of it. And my father died when I was about 3 years old. In fact, I barely remember. He died from the effects of World War I. And my mother had the three of us, my brother, my sister, and I. I was the middle one. They're both dead now. I'm still living, thank God. And I graduated from Morristown High School, class of 41. While in high school, I played on the football team, and I also participated in basketball and baseball. But my main sport was football.
Football. What position?
I played center under Coach Flynn.
Oh, we just went in.
We had the old single wing then. And I started out as a backfield man, but in 39 and 40, and then our two centers got hurt. And Mr. Mellinger at that time was one of the coaches there, and Hank Mellinger. I'm getting the names mixed up now. But anyway, Mike LeBeau, he was the line coach. They says, we're going to convert you to a center. I said, well, I don't weigh that much. They said, you don't have to weigh that much. They said, we got two big men on either side of you. We got Dick Clark and Fred McGrath. They were 200-pounders at that time, so they said, they'll take care of you. I said, okay. So from then on, I stayed as a center from then on. Even after I got out of high school, they had the semi-pro league.
Did you play semi-pro?
Yeah, we had the North Jersey semi-pro league. There was the Boonton Panthers, Franklin Miners, Eastover Field Club, Hackettstown Eagles, and the Newton Braves, and the Bloomingdale Troopers. And of course, Morristown did not have a team in the league at that time. So many of those players from Morristown went over to Boonton, and we played with them. Between Boonton and Morristown, we made up the Boonton Panther team. And in '46, we were undefeated, untied, and unscored upon.
Undefeated?
That's once in a lifetime.
Well, did you play, was it two-way again? Did you play offense and defense?
We played both offense and defense, and we didn't have the face masks, we didn't have the mouthpieces, we didn't have the sticky gloves, the elbow pads and all that. And we played the full game. No special teams. We were the specials, all of them.
Regular Newt Rockney football.
Hard knock football.
Chuck Bednarik. Did your brother serve?
No, my brother, he quit school when he was 16 years old, because my mother, the three of us supported him. And then he worked for the roofing, went into the roofing business. And he stayed with the roofing until he retired. And shortly after that, he passed away. And so my mother still taking care of us.
Yeah.
In fact, my mom worked at the high school for years. She took care of the ladies' room there and the cafeteria. Because she remarried, her name was Keeley, Mrs. Keeley. A lot of the kids remember her as by that.
Were you there at the time, or was this after you, or before you, when you were in high school?
Well, I graduated in '41. I think she might have been there at that time too. Yeah. I have to stop and think, you know. I'll be 82 in June, so memory slips now and then.
Well, how about the Depression? Was your, I guess, with your
Yes,
father?
we were there during the Depression, and a good meal was peanut butter sandwich in those days. We didn't have to, of course, bread was, what, 8 and 10 cents? Yeah, milk maybe 8 cents a gallon, and butter and that, bread. Gasoline, I guess, was only 11 or 12 cents. They had a gas war going on. Each gas station would lower their so for 25 cents or so, you can almost fill your tank with gas.
Like times have changed. Isn't it?
Oh yes, and we could kid around with one another like we did years ago. We had some of the now they call Afro-Americans playing on our team with us, but we'd call them one name, they'd call us another, and next day we're playing ball together, and that was it. That's the times have changed.
Yes, they have.
I think the ACLU was hurt, taking away the discipline from the parents, myself. Because we stepped out of line, you got a whack. You didn't do it again. But now you can't do that.
In the school? Or?
Either school or
right.
with the parents, Because I think that between the ACLU and the judges, they're lenient with them. ACLU, they're afraid of stepping on our toes. I'm not. As I say, they took away the discipline, and I'm not afraid to say that, too. Maybe a little stubborn, but I am at times. When you see what happens, it's as it is now. Can the parents control their kids? No. The only way to control them is a little discipline. If you get discipline, boom. We got a case where one of the fellows, our organization, I belong to Tin Can Sailors, actually, former Navy men served on destroyers. And he was living with his daughter at the time. And of course she became a mother, and their 18-year-old son was in the house. He said something, they swore at something. She slapped him in the face. He said, "Don't you do that." The grandfather, he said, the grandfather slapped him. He said, "Don't you lay your hand on me, I'll report you." He says, "Go ahead, report me. Just remember this. If I get out of jail, you better be out of this house. Because you're 18, you're on your own, you buy your own food, find your own rooms and all that." That kid changed.
Tough love.
Then you can discipline them the right way. Now they try to discipline them by buying everything for them, buying them cars. And, oh well, that's another story.
Yes, it is.
Because when we worked, we had to work. I used to peddle papers when I was a paper boy. And then when I was in high school, I worked on the milk truck in the mornings. Used to get $1 a morning. Make $7 a week. I gave my mother $6. She'd give me $1. Say, keep it and go to the movies and all that. Because you can go to the movies for 50 cents or less.
So I did the same. I was a paper boy.
Yeah.
Then I was a caddy.
Well, my son used to caddy.
I made pretty decent money at it.
Oh, yeah.
So, well, you filled out you gave me a form.
Yeah.
And you filled it out, but if you could tell us about your enlistment, how you went about it, what your thought process was, what was your first reaction?
There was another fellow that went to school with me. In fact, he's in the yearbook, Bob Miller from Morris Plains. We both graduated high school together. And we went down to New York to enlist, and it's something you'll never forget. Your indoctrination when you go for the enlistment. Of course, first thing you have to take your shirts off and everything, and they're going to they paint you up almost like an Indian. A spot here where they're going to give you a shot, another color here on your chest where there's going to be the X-ray, things like that. And then they check you over pretty good, see if you're physically fit and all that. And if you're physically fit, they sign you up. Because I had to go home and get my mother's signature because I wasn't old enough at the time. That's when they found out my middle name was Ralston instead of John. And from there, after the 5 days, 10 days, whatever it may have been, I got my notice after I sent the notice, my birth certificate in. So then I got called and reported to duty.
Well, they found out your name was Russell. Could you try to give them a false name?
No, they said, "What's your name?" I said, "Kenneth John Williams." "Okay, you got your birth certificate to show it?" I said, "No, I don't have a birth certificate. It's home." He said, "Well, you better get one if you want to get in the Navy." So I finished with the physical. They gave me the physical and all that. And then I went home and I told my mother. I said, Mom, I says, I need your birth certificate. So she had to go dig it up. She found it, and I looked at it. I says, Kenneth Ralston. I said, my name is Kenneth John. She says, the birth certificate says Kenneth Ralston. She says she couldn't understand how it got there. The only thing she could think of, it was Dr. Ralston Reed that delivered me. Somehow, or whoever's typing the birth certificate up. And then when we went through boot camp, that was something. I had a physical then we went to boot camp, we had another physical. Actually, almost like 3 physicals before we actually went into duty on boot camp. And some fellows had mustaches. They shaved them off in a hurry. And the skin haircuts, as they call them. They used to barber you in the barber chair there, and it's a 15-second haircut. See who could cut your hair the first. Skinheads, they called them. So we went to boot camp then.
How many people were in your unit, in your boot camp unit?
Oh, I got a picture at home somewhere there. We had quite a few companies. I know it was Company 328. I can't think of the figure. You're racking my brain now. This is back in 42.
Yeah.
But there must have been 75 at least or more. Just trying to think of it. Was in Newport, Rhode Island when I threw boots. I think I listed that on there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Do you remember your instructors?
No, we remember some of them, not by name, because we had both an Irishman and we had an Italian fellow too, so they were tough. Because I can still remember the sign when we came into the hall there. Remember, there's a place for everything and everything in its place. So they teach you to take care of yourself. Right.
Yeah. Attention to detail.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, why did you join? Is it right after Pearl Harbor? Was it?
No, I was at Pearl Harbor. I was still
in high school.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 41.
You
no,
graduated in 41.
I graduated in 41, so I wasn't in.
Right.
Yeah, I was already. I was working at Picatinny Arsenal then. I was working at Picatinny, and then I was getting there, and I says, different fellows I knew were going into service, joining the Navy or the Army or Air Force and the Marines, whatever their preference was. So I talked to Mom. I said, Mom, I'm going to go down and join the Navy. What do you want to join the Navy for? I said, who knows? Pretty soon I'll be getting drafted in another year or so. I might as well go. She said, all right, go ahead. So I went down and enlisted. That's how I got into the Navy.
And and the Navy was just attracted you, or
yeah, I like the Navy because when I was a kid, we used to go swimming quite a bit. I learned to swim on the part in the Whippany River and down off Ridgedale Avenue there, and then again in Morristown at the YMCA. I used to do swimming up there. So the swimming come in handy. In fact, when I went through boot camp, I had some kids from Brooklyn. There's one Jaime Goldberg. He couldn't swim at all. So he came to me and he says, hey, Willie, he used to call me last name, Willie, could you take the test for me? Because I saw you swimming and you took the test. I says, yeah, but I can't do it. He says, go down at the other end because it's a big place. He says, that's a different instructor down here. So I said, okay. So I went down. The guy looked at me. He says, what's your name? I says, Jaime Goldberg. He looked at me. He says, you don't look Jewish. I said, well, Mother was Irish. So I took the test. I was Jaime Goldberg, and I passed it. The kid gave me a buck. Because in 41, that was a good money.
Yeah. He didn't realize that it might be important to be able to know how to swim.
Yeah, he figured he would get shore duty. Now, whether he ever did or not, I don't know.
You don't know. And do you recall your very first day? Well, you already explained about the haircut.
Yeah.
This is a detail.
Oh, we slept in hammocks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the guys from the city, they were scared. That they didn't like the idea of sleeping in a hammock. But a hammock falls over you like when you're sleeping in it. Have you ever been in one?
No, so it's kind of like a cocoon.
It's an experience.
Well, were you on ship or you were on shore when you were sleeping? How was that?
I mean, in the hammocks in that boot camp.
Yeah.
Boot camp, we had the hammocks.
In buildings or?
Yeah, in the buildings, the hall, we have recreation hall for the basketball and all that, but then the big hall where everybody slept. That was another one.
Okay, is this because they didn't have the infrastructure set up yet? And the army and the military was exploding. So did they just not have the beds?
Well, years ago, like the hammocks, I guess that's an old Navy tradition years ago, before they had the mattresses and all that.
So that's just the way
Yeah,
the Navy did
more or
it.
less, they had to learn that way.
Yeah. So what did it feel like your first few days? Were you?
I didn't mind it,
No.
because I was used to pounding around with the gang we used to pound around with all together in Morristown and all that, play the sports and all that, so it didn't bother me. We used to hear these guys from Brooklyn and New York crying, "Mommy, Mommy." Just shut up and go to sleep.
So it was not, even though it was your first time away from home, it wasn't.
No.
Not a big
So
deal.
because we used to go camping and just when we were kids and all that, I can remember. Of course, when I was growing up, it was Depression time. And a lot of people don't know about this, but down on Ford Avenue, Morristown, used to be a dump area and what we call a hobo camp along by the railroad tracks down there, coming from the station there.
Mhm.
And the hobos would have the camp going. And we used to go up and watch them and all that. Hey, come on, boys. Because most of these hobos at that time were former GIs from World War One. But they were unemployed, looking for work. And when they'd hear the freight train coming, boy, they'd go rub. They said, "Boys, eat that. Put out the fire for us." And then they corrected us and says, "We're not hobos. We're knights of the roads." That's the term they used to call us.
That made it romantic.
Oh yeah.
So, could you detail your service, where you were and when you were, and wherever you were, for instance?
Yeah.
I mean, for the tape.
Oh. Well, you mean when I enlisted? After I enlisted?
Right. Where did you go?
Oh, I
When
went
was it?
after I finished the boot camp training. I was assigned to. I got 10-day leave, 10 or 11-day leave, and I was then assigned to go to attend hospital corps school in Portsmouth, Virginia, for training as a hospital corpsman. And then I finished that. After I finished that, I was assigned to the Naval Hospital as a hospitalman there. And then I got orders to go to X-ray school. No, before that I was pushing ahead of time there. After that I was assigned into the dispensary over in the Norfolk Navy Yard to take care of the Marine barracks and all that, anyways, for injuries, first aid and so forth like that. Then I got orders to go to X-ray school in Great Lakes Hospital. So I went to Great Lakes Hospital, completed that training, got a certificate, qualified X-ray technician, and then I got orders to go back to Norfolk for training for destroyer school. I said, "What the heck, you got to turn for destroyers?" Well, the fact is, if you've never been on a ship before, it's all a different language altogether. You learn where port is, where starboard is, and so forth. You stand on the deck, not on the floor. You lean against a bulkhead, not a wall. You go up a ladder, not steps. I don't know if you heard about this or not. But
I know some of
that's the
terms,
Navy
but not
language.
the-
So you get through training and all that. So, and then I got orders our orders also included the destroyer school, waiting for an assignment to go to a ship. And of course, typical Navy, you're here, the ship is going to be on the West Coast. So the ship was commissioned on the West Coast. We took the train across country to the West Coast to pick up the ship. And of course, I was the pharmacist mate second class then, and responsible for checking in all the medical supplies that would be assigned to the destroyer. And then in July 29th, our ship went into commission, USS Gregory, DD-802. That was starting of everything else. What else should I like to know?
The people that trained with you at Destroyer School, are they the same? Did that class end up on the Gregory, or were you
Yes, no, most of us did. But then there was some of the skills were at TI, that's Treasure Island off of San Francisco. That was like the staging area for the Navy men to be assigned to different ships. So some of them came from there, some of us from Norfolk, over to Seattle where the ship went into commission.
And it's my understanding that you, as well as your specialty, you had other duties on the ship, battle station duties.
Oh yeah, my battle station was, fortunately for me, it was in sick bay.
Now, you were corpsman.
Yes, I was in sick bay. But our first class pharmacist mate, he was in the back aft, in the after crew quarters there. The head there for like a sick bay for him. So I was there midships on the starboard side, sick bay. Yeah.
Okay. And from there, from TI, your cruise was,
We had a shakedown cruise.
which means
A shakedown cruise, we had two. One is because the people that built the ship, Todd shipyards, they would have some of their experts go with us on the cruise to see how it reacted under speed, flank, so forth, turn, maneuvering, and things like that. See if there's any glitches and glitches, whatever you want to call them. But things worked out good, so we finished with the shakedown cruise. We would cruise with some other ships, play war games or something like that.
right in training. Actually.
Yeah, and
Was there was never, or did you ever see anything in these training exercises with it, Japanese subs or Japanese plane, or I guess you were close to the West Coast?
not while we were out there, because we had our destroyers. If we got any contact, we'd go chasing subs right away.
Even on the shakedown cruise?
Yeah, even shakedown cruise, because we also had our own subs out there acting now. So
As protection?
yeah, protecting, and not only that, but maneuvering with them in war games.
All right.
Yeah, as they call them now.
And did you see combat?
Oh yes, yes. My first time we on our way out to we went to Pearl Harbor first, and then from Pearl Harbor we had another shakedown cruise there. There we operated mostly with carriers. See, mostly during World War II, almost all carriers had destroyers. There'd be two forward, two aft, 25, 30 miles away or within range of the carrier. See, so if there's any accidents, fellas don't hit the drink and all that, the destroyer's right there to pick them up. So we had that training also too.
So the destroyers were also protecting.
Yeah, say here's your carrier. You'd have a destroyer here, 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 and here, so that they can case any subs around or anything like that.
Were there any other smaller ships
Well, you have destroyer escorts,
which would protect the?
the same as us. Yeah, they would be with us a lot of times. Yeah, there's a lot of destroyer escorts. Yeah. And then they had the PC boats, patrol crafts. Then they had what we call the yard fleet. Most of them are in the harbors, the wooden fleet there, patrol the areas.
So after Pearl Harbor, you sailed.
Yeah, then we sailed to Eniwetok. And when we had Eniwetok there, of course, we got there, the battle had been already over with, and all we could see was a lot of splintered palm trees standing up. You wouldn't see it until you're almost upon it, because it's nothing but a small atoll out there. Eniwetok and Kwajalein. And then from there, we went on to
That's the office.
Saipan. Saipan, that was the first time we'd come in contact with the enemy, the aircrafts. We fired everything up at them. We didn't hit anybody though. And then, of course, gives the opportunity to some of us, we had to go for supplies while we're at Saipan. So I had to go check on see if they had medical supplies. Being responsible on the island of Saipan. Because the island was just about secured.
But there
were some Japanese up in the hills and all that. And there was these little knee mortars were all over the island. Some of the guys wanted to pick them up, and the Marine says, keep your hands off them. They may be duds, but they may be booby traps too. So some of the fellas. And so we went into one of the caves, explored it, see where the flamethrowers were in there in the caves. Of course, it got dark while we were in there. So we had a little fire going, look around. You could see the black on the wall where the flamethrowers had been there. So we went out a different way than we came in. And when we came out, just before you go out there, if there's anybody coming in, there's a sign, danger, unexploded shells. Here we had a fire going. The Marines gave us hell. Get out of that goddamn sailor. In fact, speaking of that, I picked up a certificate, a birth certificate of a Japanese. Would you like to see it?
Yeah.
Hold on, you can turn that on.
Yeah.
The gun position when we went in there was all black and burnt where they had the.
Did you see the Japanese flinging themselves off the cliff?
Huh?
Did you see the Japanese?
Well, the guys, I didn't see them, but some of the fellows were talking about it because I was in those guys up on the main deck with the binoculars.
So they were watching.
Yeah, he said, holy Christ, it's crazy. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
Did anybody translate? Oh.
Yeah, I had a Chinese engineer at Picatinny, a chemist up at Picatinny.
Japanese.
No, she was Chinese. The other one was Japanese later.
That's
Yeah.
fucking well.
Sits on both sides.
So this gives his name,
Yeah.
date of birth.
I guess he was 45, I guess, or something like that.
And that was his job, or is that he was a lawyer and the mayor,
No,
or that?
there was a lawyer on the island itself.
All right.
There was a lawyer and a mayor. His name is given there, the Japanese soldier, I guess.
Toyoichi Bahara.
Oops. There's something else I wanted to show you. Well, here's it.
So you got this because you were on the maiden
Yeah,
voyage?
is that the one crossing the international date line, or?
No, it says put the USS Gregory,
Oh,
DD-802 in commission.
Yeah,
Bruce McCandless
Yeah,
commanding.
they're called plank owners. You can have that. That's a brief.
Oh, yeah.
Still got that running.
Yeah, it's running now. It says here that the Gregory shot down 6 enemy planes
Yeah, we
to
did.
take part in 2 major engagements.
Iwo Jima and Okinawa.
You were at Iwo Jima.
Oh, yeah. I belong to Iwo Jima Survivors Association.
Well, I guess, yeah. Saipan was April?
Hmm?
Saipan was in April?
Yeah. We went from Saipan, we gathered some of the Marines at Saipan, with the convoy. We escorted a convoy of the LSTs up to Iwo Jima. We go in between them, so in case there's any Japanese submarines in the way. And on the way up there, we used to listen to Tokyo Rose. She knew that we were coming there.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But her music was good. We used to love her music. She'd play that, I wonder who's kissing her now, and the guys would say, what's her now? Her music was good.
How close did what shallow water did your ship go if you're following the LSTs in? How far in did you go?
You mean close to the shores? Oh, God. Anywhere from 200 to 300 yards. We were in range of their shore batteries because they were firing at us, both at Iwo Jima and Okinawa. And then at Chi-Chi, when we went to pick up the pilots. I'll give you that article. I had an article I wanted to send you. Oh, these are my credentials.
So what was the kamikaze survivors? Did it hit you? Or?
Yeah, that's how I got home. Plane hit us.
And that was at Saipan?
No, that was at Okinawa.
Okinawa.
In fact, here's a book here, The Destroyer Operations of World War II. There's an article about when we got hit. Here, if you want to care to read it.
Yeah, well.
You want to take that off while you want to find.
Could you explain what happened when the kamikaze hit your ship?
Well, three of them came in at us. The first one came in at a lower level, and it hit the captain's gig. You know what the gig is?
No.
It's like the little whaleboat for him, which is his Liberty launch. That was swung out on the port side. And when the plane hit that, it deflected the bomb over to the side of the ship, and it exploded there. And part of the plane went in the water, and part of the plane was scattered all over on the ship there. So parts of him was laying around the ship, and fellows were going around throwing us things off there. And one guy went to pick up a boot, and a piece of the Jap's foot was in the boot. His goggles were laying there, and one fella got hit in the face with some of the internal guts of the Jap. You know how you get that stuff? And that's what happened to him. What a job we had with him, because he couldn't eat anything. And we took him into sick bay, and he was trying to clean out his mouth. He probably got rid of it, but anytime he'd eat anything, he'd start throwing up. So we had to eventually calm him down. We transferred him later on, because it affected him. Yeah. But there's the story, I'll tell you. If you want to read it now,
Yeah.
click that.
During Iwo Jima, you acted as lifeguards, and then you picked up a couple of aviators at the sea. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, we got word at Iwo because we had to go north, pick up some more ammunition, and so the old man got word that a call to go to Chi-Chi, which is 200 miles north of Iwo, to pick up 3 aviators. Their Corsair was shot down over Chi-Chi, and they were in a raft floating around out there. So we got the speed to where we go pick them up in a hurry. So we went up there as fast as we could, shaking that 38 knots. That was pretty quick. And we had to, as we were picking them up there, we had what they call a cap. CAP is a cover air patrol, 3 planes. You're probably familiar, you've heard that language before. Then we had them overhead, and it had been raining on the way up, clear, and then it cleared up. As we were approaching Chi-Chi, we were still looking for them. Finally, they spotted our cover air patrol spotted. Got word, we went over there to pick them up. And as we were on our way to pick them up, there's gun mounts up on the Chi-Chi started firing at us. The first salvo went over us, on the starboard side. Boom, boom, 5 of them. And then a few minutes later, not less than minutes later, another salvo came, was on the port side. And the old man asked us to turn on the smoke screen. So put on the smoke screen, and as we got the smoke screen clear, we picked them up and got our butts out of there in a hurry.
Oh, they were bracketing you, I guess.
Oh yeah, they had us another salvo if it wasn't for the smoke screen. We were going to fire on them, then the smoke screen didn't help us any either. You can have these articles I wrote.
Where was this published?
In the military magazine. This is the replies from two of the fellows that, 2 to 3 that we rescued.
Did they
This
start flying again?
this military magazine is good. They print things in the military magazine that you don't see in the other newspapers, because they tell the truth. The newspapers, they do it the way they think that they should be done, not the way it was done. They say it makes good reading.
Did the 2 pilots get back to flying again? Or
Well, one was a pilot, and the other one was the ARM. He's the radio man and the gunner. And then the pilot himself. There was 3 of them. This was later on that I, wrote to them. I found out their address, and I sent them a copy of that, and so they replied. Where I get all this information from is my own self-witnesses, and our skipper years ago had written an article in one of the Navy magazines in regards to the incident. So rather, his was 4 or 5 pages, but I condensed it. So rather than drag it out like that, that's an experience.
What was the title of the magazine again? What was the title of the magazine?
Military. I think it should be on the bottom of the.
All right, military.
Yeah. It's a good magazine. They tell it the way it is. If you, they print stories of World War II. They had some in the Korean War, Vietnam, and all that experiences that the fellows have gone through. Yeah. You can have that copy if you want.
Yeah, that's great.
Did you finish reading this, Pierre?
No.
And after we picked them up, we brought them. We headed back down towards the Ewo again, and we transferred them to the USS Hamlin. That was a aircraft carrier tender. It takes care of people injured. Like destroyers have destroyer tenders for destroyers. Submarines have a tender for submarines, and he had the aircraft carrier Hamlin. We transferred those fellows to that so they can go back to their ship. And then they'll tell you about that and what happened to them afterwards.
In the letter?
Yeah.
So yeah, destroyer is not.
No, it's not.
And what is the size of what is the armament there?
5 inch.
It's 5 inch?
Yeah.
And it, as
we
well
have
as
2 forward and 3 aft. And if I get a picture here, I think it's better.
and how many anti-aircraft?
We had 40. We had quad 40s. I'll show you. I think we got a good close-up. Well, here's pictures of Eddie. This is our destroyer here on the way up to Saipan. Is that still running?
Yeah, it's running.
So this is on the convoy on the way up to Saipan, to Iwo Jima from Saipan. One of the fellows took this picture. He gave it to me years later. We didn't even know it was being taken.
That's the Gregory right there?
That's the Gregory right there. See how it's going? These are LSTs that were loaded with Marines. Because we just watched the Marines doing exercise and cleaning their rifles and sharpening their daggers and all that. As we go by them, we used to watch them. In the meantime, we'd have to look for any subs, make sure there's none in the area to come up between them. And this is when they get ready for the invasion of D-Day. They circle around until they're all loaded up. Then they go in, and here's what they look like going in. That's Mount Suribachi here.
That one.
Mm-hmm.
And where did you get this picture?
I got these from the Navy. The Navy
Navy.
photos.
Oh,
Yeah.
So how?
See now, like here. See, these are destroyers in here like this. We were in close to. You can see how far we are from the destroyers, in close to the shore, getting fire support when they landed.
Well, how much depth does a destroyer need to? I mean, it's awfully close. I don't know.
I think 28 feet or something like that. I don't know what this has in there. Well, this is about all the destroyers in World War II. That's me again. That's when I had a beard for a while. We had to shave that off, though.
This is.
There's my story about the mission carrier Enterprise. Saved us from actually sinking when we got hit by the kamikaze where it split our seams was the fact that the captain's gig was swung out. If he didn't hit that gig, he would have went down into our forward fire room and exploded down there.
The fire was all the ammo?
Huh?
All the ammo?
No, the fire room is what keeps the ship under control.
All right.
That fire room, the engine room,
All right.
boilers and all that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, escorting these guys up there, how nerve-wracking is that?
When you're in close, you don't mind them. But when they start firing at you, you wonder. Yeah. Here's the article, our skipper here with his father when the ship was getting repaired in San Diego. You can see how old this is.
Is this what paper is this?
That was one of the one in San Diego, the congressional papers in San Diego. Then that's about when he took over the ship. So our skipper had the Medal of Honor, not from our ship, but from bringing it back to San Francisco, badly damaged.
32.
See, here's a tender. Here's the prairie that fixed us up after we got hit.
Is it armed or?
That's a, yeah, they have.
Yeah, let's see it there.
You can see how big that is.
Yeah.
It's like a mother hen there.
And these are.
That's me. My buddy Archie, and this is Freddie. These were taken in San Diego after the war was over. That's why during the war, we're not permitted to have a camera aboard ship. After the war, that's when the cameras broke.
Well, then how did that guy get the picture of?
Well, you know why? Sometimes what they call a flagship that has a higher echelon on it, they have to have a photographer. Because we asked him about that. How the hell did you do that?
That's the number of planes you shot down?
Yeah, he's had 6 of them there. There's our gun crew here. That's the gun crew here. Here's the 3 of us, the unholy 3 as they call us. It's me, Whitey, and Larry. He died about a year ago. He was on the USS Astoria when it got sunk in the Battle of Guadalcanal. And then he went home on 30-day leave and he came aboard ship, signed with us. These are what they call the plan of the day. Each time they put one on the board so you know what's going on during the day. They tell you. There's one there telling us about authorizing the Bronze Star for the Battle of Iwo. I can find it. Oh, here it is. I made a copy. See, this is the new one, but it was like this, that paper. And see, that authorizes. Everything is through higher echelon. Which we did receive one for the Battle of Okinawa, but that time
Nobody on board ship is authorized to wear the bronze.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I keep this here. This is all in San Diego. So this is all when we have movies on board. This is me here. This is San Diego in the background. As you can see, the ship's not that wide.
15 feet maybe?
Here it is later on. After this was, I think, during the Korean War.
Did it serve in Korea?
Yeah, it changed. You can see the big numbers. We didn't have big numbers. I can show you. See, you can't see it here because it's real small. But that's the way it was. Battleship Gray. See, this ship here was alongside. We were coming alongside. They were going to pass mail to us. That's how they used to do it. Got this here.
The Japanese instrument.
Yeah, the copy of the Instrument of Surrender one that was there, and then on the back, Japanese.
There's Nimitz, you see?
Yeah, the ones that signed it. Oh, what's left of our ship is here, the remains of it. They still couldn't sink us. Some on the beach and some on the water.
Was it
For target practice.
for target
yeah.
practice?
Yeah, before that it was used as they called it the indoctrinator. It was a training
ship.
Yeah.
So how'd that make you feel when you found out it was a target?
We didn't like it, but what are you going to do? Well, this was the cover of what our skipper wrote, that story I was telling you about.
Mhm.
He wrote it. It was about 6 or 8 pages. And depth charge racks here, they drop off on a fantail. And these are known as K guns or Y guns. They shoot out. When they shoot a pattern, the guys down the engine room, what the hell, everything's rattling loose when we chase the subs. See this here? That's where the captain's gig was swung out on that side, see?
So the
And
kamikaze came in through
yeah. It hit that, and it deflected the bomb over to the side and split. See, here's the other side here, the port starboard side.
Right.
See, this is the cruise when we go on Liberty, whaleboat. See, here's our 5-inch. There's 2 forward, 3 half, 1, 2, 3 here. And
The turrets, are they 360? Or,
no, these are 5-inch.
I mean, do they 360 degrees or?
Yeah, they can swing around quite a bit. This is the fellow, this was one of our gunner's mates. I'll see him next reunion, I hope. He's been to this fellow Spider. He recently died. We used to use V-mail. You heard about V-mail?
Yeah.
That's what we used to have. This is when we had the different reunions there.
Are they annual?
Well, at the age we're getting
like
to, yeah, for a while they were only like every other year, but now we're getting older. But we had the Korean vets too. Well, here's some of us, the original crew. This was taken in San Diego. Oh, I don't have the year on it. About 4 years ago. It's me, Whitey. Only one dark-haired fella here. Oh, do you have any influence? I've got this from the ship. I sent to Washington to get it. It's called a microfinch.
Yeah,
Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, we have capabilities to read it.
Huh?
We can read it at the library.
Can I get copies made?
Of microfiche?
Yeah.
I can paper copies. I can.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be expensive.
How much would it be?
No, I mean, I can get you that. Paper copies I can do for free. If you wanted a copy of the micro film, I don't know how.
Well, how would you get them?
We just print a copy of a paper copy. I just put it on our machine and hit print, and we get paper copies.
Oh,
So I can do that for free.
I could make a copy. Can you make a copy for
Yeah.
me? How much I give you?
Well, how many papers?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, I'll take it back with me and I'll see what we have.
Yeah.
and stuff.
See, this is the World War II report on the diary.
Because you always just get a magnifying glass and a flashlight, you can do it. But
On this, yeah. It's looks like an inch.
I can print you. Yeah, I'll just get you some pages. I'll just print it off. Yeah, it's not a problem.
Good. Let me know how much it costs you.
I don't think it. I mean, you're giving us an interview, so.
Oh. Take it with you.
All right.
All right. And then you can call me when it's ready.
Yeah.
You'll be in Morristown Library?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, Morristown, Township. We're not the county library.
I know where that.
Yeah, on Miller Street, south of Miller.
It's on the corner.
Right.
Yeah, right outside the old.
The old police station.
Yeah. Town
Town hall. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. This book here. I don't know if you've seen this one. This has the casualties of. I don't know whether it's still running.
Yeah, it's still running.
It tells how many Japanese ships were lost. Aleutian Islands. So this is the common. See the numbers here?
Right.
That's numbers smaller. See, we had this camouflage like that. You know the purpose of that camouflage?
Hey, it's to break up patterns in there.
Yeah. If a surface sub would see us out there, they would know it was 2 or 3 subs there, 2 or 3 destroyers because of the way it were. Yeah. Now, this is misleading. Wounded in action.
Right.
I know that was a matter.
How many?
I took care of 9 wounded guys, but 7 of them went back to duty.
So
As far as the Navy's concerned, they're physically fit to do.
They went back to duty immediately?
Oh yeah, I
So-
took care of them. Bandaged them up and take care of them.
So would they consider guys that can't go back to
Yeah,
duty?
that's right. 2 of them we couldn't. It's interesting though, because I know a lot of these different ships, our sister ship to Calhoun, she got sunk.
The story's lost.
Yeah, destroyed that. See the Calhoun? She was 801. She had 34 killed, 21 wounded in action. And our other sister ship, we always operated in groups. There was the 800, the 801, 802, and 803. The 802, 1, 2, and 3 always operated here. There's the other one, the little.
So you're the
We were
lucky ones.
That's why you're saying the even numbers stayed afloat, the odd numbers sunk.
How big is the crew of a destroyer?
About 275.
275.
Yeah, or almost 300. It's crowded.
Yeah.
That's quite a book, though. They should get them in the libraries.
You might. Eh?
The best one is this one right here. That tells you all the battles and all that. Well, that has it too. So what'd you think of that, huh?
Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah. And when was it translated for you? Did you
I had it translated up at Picatinny Arsenal.
after you got back? So you didn't know what this was?
No, I didn't know what it was. In fact, I forgot I even had it till one day I was going through my luggage. Actually, it's made of rice paper. This is a reproduction copy. The rice paper is very thin. I didn't want to take a chance on it.
Yeah.
I can still hear the Marines, get the hell out of here.
When was that? Was that towards the end of the battle? Oh, you said there was still resistance going.
Yeah, up in the hills, yeah,
Yeah.
up in the hills, but most of it was secured.
So you were. Yeah.
Oh, did I give you this one? That's a better one, maybe.
No, I already have that one.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take another copy. It's not
That's
like
a better one, yeah. Yeah, then that Bateman, you want his name?
I wrote it down.
Oh, yeah. Did you read his? I recognized the name. I said, that guy looks familiar to me. And then I read there, Morristown. He must have graduated ahead of me. I don't think there's...
I'll look up it in the yearbook when I get.
Yeah. What do you have?
he was born in 21, so
So, yeah, I was born in 22, so he must have been in class
class
of
of
40.
40.
Look at here.
That's your diploma?
Participated in football.
Yeah.
That's the baseball.
Baseball.
That's baseball. Oops. This is the football. 2 years in football. 3 years actually in football. See? Kenneth J. Williams.
So all year, up until you were 22, you thought your name was...
Yeah. Till it was 20. 19. I gave you this fellow's name, didn't I? Bidwell? That slip of paper, Dwight Bidwell? They raised hell, you guys. He had quite an experience. Oh, here's another thing. I mentioned it in here, and I didn't find out until recently what it was that they fired at us. I don't know if you read it or not. This here. We were in close to shore.
A word screeching, smoking, whistling, twisting projectile at the destroyer, which fell short.
Yeah. Then I found out here's what it was.
Found out it was a Japanese 320 millimeter spigot mortar.
Yeah, wait till I show you. I can get rid of this.
28th Marines called it the Screaming Jesus. Flying ash cans.
The Union up there, they pointed out. Here it is.
The 320 millimeter. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
320 millimeters. It's huge.
Yeah.
This is a cruiser weapon.
Okay.
It's supported by a wooden platform.
Imagine that. The guys were going, what the hell's coming at us?
Well, the mortar's held over the tube. Then how is it launched? Odd sounding weapon system.
I'll tell you, it scared the hell out of the guys. What the hell's coming at us? And it fell short, thank God.
Wow.
I guess it was like on a track or something. And they'd pull it back in and hide it. You wouldn't even know it was there. And then they'd come out with it again. That's quite a book there.
Destroyer Force U.S. Pacific Fleet.
Yeah, yeah. Shows that we were officially there.
So what was your most memorable moment?
Surviving.
Surviving?
That's what I am.
It's a glossy picture. Professionally taken?
No, that was taken at a nightclub. This guy was in the, I don't know, it was the Army Air Force up and behind us. You know how they go around taking pictures of the girls when you're in the. You probably haven't been to these joints like that.
At the Gregory?
Yeah. You want that? You can have that.
Yeah, that'd be great. So what was the most pressure?
Want that one?
Yeah.
That's another one. See, this is when that camouflage.
Yeah.
This was with the war paint, with the gray, dark gray on it.
And when did you camouflage the ship?
When we were commissioned, they had that.
And then you later painted it?
When we went to a different ocean, you painted it a different color.
What was the reason for that?
Well, sometimes the background, you don't know whether it's a ship or not,
Not a lot of room for 300 people.
Yeah. You want that?
Yeah. Is it?
That's me. Yeah, I had a little background on that. There's only two of us left in the Unholy Three. They called us the Unholy Three. I don't know why they did that.
So you kept in touch after the war?
Oh, yeah.
Other than reunions or Christmas cards?
Well, those two I've always kept in touch with, yeah. Remember that fellow showed you, he just recently died, was his wife standing alongside him?
With the
That's
beard?
him there, that's him there, yeah.
And this is after the war?
Yeah, because after we got repaired, we had to take everything off the ship, the depth charge rack and all that. See, that's the size of the numbers. That's why you don't see them. Later on, they come out with the big numbers.
Are they about 3 feet high there?
Huh?
About 3 feet high, maybe?
What?
There? The numbers?
If that. 2 to 3 feet. Here's when we had Liberty.
Is this in Hawaii?
You find me there?
That's you behind?
Yeah.
Yeah. This was Hawaii?
Yeah, that's in Hawaii. Oh, here's a. Here, you want a copy? I got a copy. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, but some of it's missing on the bottom, but that's all right. What's missing? That's when we went ashore looking for.
Right.
Where's the other side of it?
Side, yeah.
See, there's a school teacher. She's typing up my diary for. I gave it to her for the Battle of Okinawa from the very first day to the end of the war.
For the high school students, or?
No, she teaches, but she just got married, so I don't know when I'm going to get it. This is what she started. She showed part of it. This is what she did so far. Just to give you an idea. This is at...
So you kept a diary then?
Yeah, I kept a diary.
But she has the diary.
Yeah, she's writing it up, typing it up. I'm going to talk to her and see if she can finish it. Here's something you might be interested in. It's up to you.
Well, anything you want to...
Now, Okinawa. This is the way Okinawa was laid out. This would be better for you, I guess. See, during the Battle of Okinawa, see where these picket stations are?
Right.
Every one of them would have a destroyer on it.
Right.
What they call the picket line. This is that's when we got hit. I'm trying to look. So we were on radar picket 7. We were on 2 or 3 different ones, but then we went on to this one. That's when we got hit. Right. It shows. Then we all went into Caramaretta, where we got temporary repairs. There's Caramaretta up there. We had to go up there.
So you kept rotating positions?
Oh yeah. And we had the what we call the pallbearers out there. The pallbearers were the small small LCI ships, like small, real small, and that's just what their job was, pallbearers.
Taking the body out?
They'd pick up the bodies for us, and we had every one of these destroyers would have. We'd give credit to those fellows about being out there. Oh, here's Caramaretta here. Yeah, that's where we went for repairs, and while we were there, we were constantly under air attack at night.
Man.
You can have that. Give you an idea.
Well, how far is
That's quite a few miles, nautical miles. Yeah, we had a.
and why? I guess this is just the discrepancy. There's no uniformity there. That's for a reason.
Yeah, yeah. Because you had to go on the outer screen, see? And the closer we were to Japan and China, you'd have to have them a little bit further out so they can pick up the warning, relay it back. In the meantime, the aircraft carriers, which may be out in here or up here, depending on where they're at, they could send their planes out.
All right.
To intercept the jet. That's how they were able to sink the battle of the big Japanese battleship Yamada, because they were able to get it. Just tells you a little bit about what some of them do. Well, you can have that if you want to give you a better idea. Just to give you an idea how many ships were hit at Okinawa alone. You can have that if you want.
Yeah.
The only one on that day. Imagine that. The big one was the 6th, I think. That was the big one. That's not a lot of it.
It's all just a matter of luck, inches and luck.
Oh yeah. So you know what the guy said after the battle was over? Good Lord didn't want us then. No room in hell. We're gonna hang around a while. We're still here. Some of us.
You probably don't want to give up that one,
Huh?
You don't want to. You're tired too.
Oh yeah. Did you read some of it?
Just the first paragraph.
Yeah.
So how about your mom when you're out here? Did you communicate? How often did you write to your mom or to other family members?
Well, I used to try to write at least once or twice a week. Sometimes you didn't get a chance because sometimes we had to sleep in our clothes. We stunk, especially when we got hit because our evaporators got damaged, which knocks out the drinking water and the water for the fire engine and all that. And when we got hit, we had to go into Caramaretta alongside a water barge and take on water on them. All the oil we can get. Yeah.
So, what was the most stressful? The day to day, or?
Yeah, well, you're constantly on battle station, and of course, when we got the word that there was 3 of them out there, and the first one hit, we were I was in sick bay, the battle station. We went dead in the water. The lights went out. Everything got quiet because the guns couldn't fire. And then a few minutes later, they started again. In the meantime, we got the hell out of there because we didn't know what was going on. One of the guys says, "Hey, we got the hell out of here. Let's get going." And I get out. I looked up and I had to go over up to the port side to where the plane hit. And what a mess that was. Part of the Jap was there, the plane was in parts of the plane, the guys were throwing everything overboard. As I mentioned before, one of the guys picked up a boot, part of a foot in it, and the goggles were there. And the other fellow, when he got, like from here to there, when they hit there, got swallowed some of the Jap. A mess. And the shrapnel in the guy's eyes, I removed a piece of that shrapnel over here in the corner.
Did he lose his eye?
After it was quiet, I went from 3 or 4 of them taking care of it. Managed to give him a morphine shot. We had those little morphine strips,
Yeah.
and the shrapnel here. Give a shot of morphine, put a Band-Aid on it, and this one guy had it in the eye. And after the guns stopped firing, it was quiet. The planes had gone away. I was like this, shaking. He says, "Willie, man, I'm glad you're not working on my eye now. I wouldn't have that damn thing." You can laugh about it. Oh, I often wonder how he's made out. If he ever has any eye problems. Because I didn't, it was right here at the corner, see, right? Yeah. Just one of the small trees. Got it out. It's a good thing I didn't go back again. Oh, God. When we had our reunion, met one of the fellows, he showed me his arm here with shrapnel where he had sewed him up. "Look at the zipper you put on my arm," he said. "Stitches."
Well, as a medic, they really depend on you.
Oh, yeah.
Did that bother you, or was it? You didn't
No,
think about it, or?
No, I didn't think about it. That job had to be done, so.
Yeah.
Well, when I got discharged, I wanted to be a mortician. I wanted to be a mortician. The fellow said, YMCA there, Mr. Nuttall, he said he would sponsor me. I said, good. Well, he was going to go to Amherst, College Amherst. And a little while, not too long after, he says to me, "Kenny," he says, "I'm sorry, you can't go to college." I says, "Why not?" He says, "You're short 1 credit." I says, "Well, what's wrong with 1 credit?" He says, "Well, you have to take a language." I said, "Well, I had the English language." He says, "No, you need a foreign language." Well, I said, "I'm not going back to college. I'm not going back to high school." He said, "Go back to high school." I was a nervous wreck. I used to jump at the least bit of noise. And I'd, turn around, I'd probably belt somebody. Kids can be tantalizing. To this day, I still watch a plane when I hear it going over, because I'm constantly under air attack all the time. Not much sleep, sleep in our clothes. I can talk about it now. Yeah. Thank God I'm still here. Yeah, this will be good when she finishes it. I don't know how.
How long is it?
Yeah. I'll have to ask her when she comes back from her honeymoon.
So she just got married. And
Yeah.
how long is it? Does she have much to do? Or?
Well, it's, you figure from what was this, March 15th, right up to when I left the ship in San Diego in May. Yeah. So it'll be pretty lengthy, I think. And each time, see what I wrote in my diary, I also got information from some of the other fellows. So what I did, I combined theirs and put it in mine there, so it makes it a little longer.
And also a fuller picture.
In fact, wait a minute. Oh God, I just had a letter from one of the fellas too. His version of it. In fact, he's a lawyer, and he was a torpedo man. And he was telling his side of it, where he was at. See?
Where was he? Do you remember?
He was in a torpedo gang.
Forward?
Yeah.
Forward.
So, you got a minute? I'll
Yeah,
see if
okay.
I can see if I can find that letter. That would be, you'd enjoy that.
So what kind of a commander was he?
Great. As I say, we would go to hell and back for him. He was terrific.
He did the same for you?
Yeah, he looked at you. He didn't look down at you. He looked at you. He spoke to you. Level, eyes level. None of this looking up and away from you. And he got mad, he'd give you hell. One time I can experience Larry White and I, the three of us pal around, and you've heard us mention it before. They called us the Unholy Three. We were always the first to go on liberty, leave the ship. First in the chow line, first in pay line, and last to come back aboard ship. So we were tied up in San Diego. We can remember this. Tied up. When we tied up in San Diego, we used to tie up outside. We didn't tie in close to the pier, because if anything comes up, yeah.
Lessons learned from Pearl Harbor.
So we're there, the Liberty launch there, and the last launch, Liberty boat, we call them Liberty boat, whale boats, had already gone back to the ship. So the captain's gig, that had the little hood on it, so it wouldn't get the sun on him. That was his privilege. The crew was there waiting for him. And they looked at us, and they said, "You guys aren't getting back to the ship. The whale boat's already gone." We said, "Well, the skipper's there." They said, "Skipper, he's not going to take you guys." A few minutes later, the skipper showed up. He looked at us, and he said, "Oh, the Unholy Three, huh? Well," he says, "I see you're here. That means the rest of the crew's back aboard ship." He says, "You might as well come back with me, because they're not coming out here for you special." So we went back with the Liberty launch boat with him. And as we're approaching the ship, the guys up on the deck there looking down, because you can see it's only 15 feet high, maybe the bow of the ship. Guys, look at those brown nosers riding with the skipper. And the skipper heard them. You know what he says? He looked at them. He says, "I needed protection. I knew I could depend on these three." I'll never forget that. Oh. I see Whitey every once in a while. We talked about that a couple of times. He was great, though. He used to keep us warm when the planes were coming in, especially at Okinawa, when they had the 3 or 4 of them come at us. One stayed back first, and the other 3 circled around, and one shot at us. That's the one that hit us first with his whale boat. Gigs stung out and deflected the bomb over to the side. And then the other one came in strafing. We hit him. He came right between our stacks, crashed over the side of the ship on the other side into the water. Of course, down the engine room, the fire room, the guys were wondering what the hell is going on up there. And the third one came in the other angle and clipped off the radio antenna on our after stack. He just missed landing, crashing into the fantail. He went over just back after it a little. Would have been boom. Guys go, "What the hell's going on up there?" Because they could snipes, we called them. Those are firemen, engine room, snipes, machinist mates. They don't know what daylight's like, so that's why they get the name snipes.
It's gotta be even worse for them, I would imagine.
That's what they say, yeah. That's what the fire room guy says. Boy, when that plane got deflected off that plane would have been right down in that fire room. Would have exploded down there. One guy said, "Good Lord didn't want us. No room in hell. We're going to hang around a while."
Turned down.
You can have that if you want.
So what happened when you got back? What did you?
When we got back, we couldn't get over it. We heard a brass band, band playing out on the pier. The guy said, "Yeah, we got a band. We heroes or what?" They said they're probably glad to see us back. And it was nice. It was really something. Boy, the guys, when we heard we got hit, going back, we were going to go to Australia for repairs. But then we only got as far as Ulithia. And that Ulithia was R&R for the Navy. There was thousands of ships. Maybe you've heard of it, Ulithia and Mogmog. World War II, you look it up, they'll tell you. And we played softball, climbed the coconut trees, and shimmy down and get all skimmed up, drinking beer and all that. So we getting ready to then from there we're going to go to Australia. And then got word just before we came to the crossing there, they said, "Whoops, got orders, not going to go to Australia, turn around." We had to turn around and go back to Pearl Harbor. So we went into Pearl Harbor. The guys couldn't get over that. Man, that was great. We was wondering if the skipper may have pulled some of his rank on getting us back there.
Using that Medal of Honor.
Yeah, he had the Medal of Honor, so we went back to Pearl, and then we only stayed there for a little while because they had to get the side braced up. But the Prairie fixed it up temporarily, but they didn't get the whole complete. So then we got into San Diego, we went into dry dock.
How long did that take?
I don't know. I had to stop and think how many days it was. It wasn't hours, that's for sure, like it is now.
Well, would you had there been an invasion of Japan? Would you have been?
Well,
would the ship have been
speaking
ready?
of that, as we got fixed up, we were getting ready to go back out again. Because we had orders to go back out again beyond probably picket duty for getting ready for the invasion of Japan. And thanks to Harry Truman, he dropped the bomb. So we turned around and came right on back. Yeah, we were glad that we got our 30-day leaves. And we had to go back after 30 days. But then I had the points so I can get discharged, so I got discharged.
That was at 46.
Yeah.
And what did you do then?
When I came back? Well, my mother used to get mad at me because I'd be hanging around the taverns 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning drinking. She says, "You're going to be an alcoholic. You better get to work." "Oh, Ma, get to work," she said. So I said, okay. So I went back to Picatinny to work. And I stayed there until I retired in
Picatinny?
82. Yeah.
What did you do at Picatinny?
I worked in the personnel office.
Personnel.
Before that, before I went in the Navy, I worked in the accounting department. When I first went to Picatinny, when I got out of high school, I graduated Friday the 13th and started on the 16th at Picatinny, Monday. I worked in the assembly line, taking burrs off pieces of machinery and things like that. And then I got a appointment to a position in accounting. So I had accounting, commercial course, I had accounting, bookkeeping, and all that, typing. Typing come in handy even in the service too, because I had to type up the reports all the time, medical reports.
Okay.
So, then a vacancy came up in personnel. And when I was in accounting there, I used to deliver the checks to the people at the arsenal. I used to get to know quite a few of them by their name and their payroll number. So I'd see them. By the time they came to me, I'd have their checkbook. To this day, I see some of the fellows still living there. "Hey, Ray, how you doing? You got my paycheck?" So then Ernie Junkerman was working, the personnel officer then. And he wanted to know if I'd be interested in coming to personnel work for them. He says, "Okay." He said, "We'll send you to school and all that." So I said, "Okay." I decided I would go there. I was married then, and of course, I had to work a part-time job in order to make ends meet. So when he offered me that, I took it and got a promotion at Farley Dickinson, so many hours at night. So
Right.
then I stayed with them and I got promotions, and I used to be a personnel representative, and then I used to go on travel with some of the engineers, because when a vacancy occurred elsewhere, in Picatinny, the engineers, I'd go with them, they'd explain the mechanical engineering function or electrical or industrial, whatever they may be.
You want to join the Navy? What?
You're on tape. She's been Navy all the time. I call her my boatswain mate.
I had equipment.
And what was he at now?
You were talking about Picatinny Night School, and
Oh yeah, we had night school and got promoted there, and we'd go send us recruiting when a vacancy occurred at the arsenal, or if another installation was closing up, they needed either tool makers or engineers, pipe fitters. I would go with the representative who was a specialist in that field. They would explain the duties to the individuals, and I'd explain the perks that the government gives.
right.
I used to go to the colleges.
So you were a federal employee?
Yeah, federal employees. So I stayed with them until I retired in '82. So counting the years of service and that, and the government there, they continued, gave me 42 years of service. So I retired in '82 and I turned 60.
So-
Here I am now. I'll be 82 in June. Thank God.
How many, did you have children?
Oh yes, we had three. My oldest daughter is a nurse, and she's also a nun. She's out in Benedictine order in Duluth, Minnesota. My other daughter, Marie, her name is Marie, married Bob Clark. She's lives up in Flanders, not Flanders, Bud Lake. And three grandchildren. The oldest one, Kristen, she graduated from Villanova in the finance field now, and she just, well, a year ago, she passed her CPA. So she's got a good future ahead of her. And Gregory, I don't know where they got the name Gregory from. he graduated from Mount Olive. He was on the track team, cross country team for 4 years. He's going to county college now. And Danny, he's a senior now in the marching band and robotics.
Robotic.
Oh, and he's into that. Yeah, he likes that. He's handling the electrical aspects of it. But they rotate around, I guess, so to give him an idea of each part of it. Yeah. And Marie works at Mount Olive School, secretary, clerk there. So checks the attendance for the kids.
For the teachers.
And that's it. Of course, my wife is from Franklin. And I had a son, I forgot to mention him, because Kenny, he graduated in '82, the same year I retired. And then he went to NJIT, and he graduated from NJIT as a computer scientist. He had a brain. He used one of those photographic minds. He could read something, because Ann used to complain that he never brought any homework down. So when they had the teacher conference, she would go to it. She said, "Don't worry about Kenny," she says. They had the last class, a study period. Some of the kids are fooling around. He's doing his homework. He never did bring it home. When he was getting ready for a test, he used to bring it home, a book the day before, and that was it. And he made the Honor Society all 4 years. And he went to college. So yeah, he was one of those minds that fellows used to test him every once in a while. Give him a book to read, he'd read it, and then a week later they'd say, "Hey, Kenny, remember this book?" He said, "Yeah." They'd say, so they'd open up to a page. They say page 30 so, and then start the chapter so and so, paragraph so. He said, "Oh yeah, that's where Anne Marie met Joe Blow at such and such a place." I used to kid them. I used to tell the people, "Yeah, he had my wife's brains and my looks." Yeah, he died of, well, when he was 21, he had Hodgkin's. Then he was in remission for 12 years. And after that, he came out of remission. He had a bone marrow transplant. It was, when he came out of remission, it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I said, "Dad, that's a death sentence." He said, "No, I said, you'll do all right. You recovered from this one." He said, "No, he wouldn't." With the bone marrow, he says, "I might live 6 months." He said, "I won't get no 3 or 4 years." He lived exactly a little over 6 months. My grandson, Gregory, is getting more and more like him. Here's my son here. Now, where's Gregory? Oh, picture of Gregory. Now, he was a soccer and golf. He was a good golfer. Yeah. Trying to find a picture of Gregory. No, we don't have him here. He looks more and more like, he's tall, he's going to be tall. Here's a youngster. That's great there. But you can almost see the resemblance.
You're going to see John.
Yeah. And he, there he is. You know, Gregory. He's going to county college now. And then every once in a while, we'll talk and say, you know, "Hey, Kenny, will you?" You know, "That's okay, Grandpa, I don't mind it." Yeah. "Don't you want something to drink?"
Nah,
A cup of tea, orange juice,
I'm fine.
a couple cookies?
Nah. So,
Oh,
I want to thank you for the interview.
oh.
And was there anything else you want to add?
What is there to add? Thank God I'm still alive. I'm reaching 80. I'll be 82 in June. Hope I can make it that far. Well, this does show you the organizations I belong to.
Yeah,
There's
right
my
about that.
date of birth. A lot of people question that.
Oh, hey, you do look young. All right. Do you mind if I look?
No, go ahead.
AARP?
Yeah, that's my grandson. Yeah, I belong to AARP. Narfi also.
Yeah.